I mean, he is a physical freak. The arm, the wingspan's crazy good. The vertical, the broad jump, the speed, the size, like he's got it all. And then it's real easy to start thinking about, oh man, A&M pass rushers, Vaughn Miller, Myles Garrett, here we go, Shamar Stewart. Maybe he's the next one. But we've got the combine now underway, D linemen and linebackers yesterday. A lot of people looking forward to this weekend because you get the skill position guys. You get Isaiah Bond saying he's going to break his old, well, I guess they were never teammates, were they? Because Bond probably got to Texas after where they left, right? I guess
I'm guessing.
Bond's only year at Texas was last year?
Sure.
Isaiah Bond said he's going to break the record. He said he's going to break Xavier Worthy's record. He runs tomorrow. The wide receivers run tomorrow. I get it. I get why that's fun. People are interested. And these guys run with blazing speed these days. Even the big guys.
The big guys can move.
You mentioned James Pearce yesterday.
Yeah.
And that's one of the names I think Bears fans will want to track. You know, Mike Green, James Pearce, Shamar Stewart, who continues to fly up the draft boards. The guys that'll be available to them with that 10th pick. And then you have to be careful and decide which one's rising just in their underwear because he's fast.
Yeah.
And which one's really going to make an impact at the next level. That's always the tricky part. But this is one part of the calculus. I understand that. And when they make a splash with athleticism, it's easy to go. It's easy to ooh and ah. I do understand it. James Pearce, who you brought up, ran a blazing 4.47 40 yesterday. James Pearce is 245 pounds. He is a linebacker out of Tennessee, by the way. Played some with his hand in the dirt. Played a lot of stand-up linebacker, but played some with his hand in the dirt.
Right.
And I think that's an important distinction because the Bears do play an even man front. They want their pass rushers are hand in the dirt defensive ends, not rush linebackers in an odd man front. That's why Mike Green doesn't maybe make as much sense, the kid out of Marshall, even though he was an absolute game wrecker throughout the fall and into the winter. But he never really played with his hand in the dirt. I don't know how that translates then. I mean, you could speak to it better than I could. I remember Robert Quinn came here and had done a little bit of both in his career, but seemed like always was more comfortable in an even man front. So to simply say, well, anybody can do it, I don't think that's the case. I think Robert Quinn was always adamant that he did like it more, and I think his best years were hand in the dirt, even man front. So I don't know. You could talk about the finer points, like can a guy do it? Is it easy enough to teach? Some guys don't have the body types to do it, I would think, right?
Yeah.
They're just built a little differently. Right. Those edge linebackers, those rush linebackers in an odd man front are sometimes just built a little differently, aren't they?
It's tough to be a hand in the dirt defensive end at 240, 245.
That's tough, right?
Yeah.
And that's what James Pearce is.
That's tough.
It was kind of the thing that always turned you off a little bit of Leonard Floyd. You were like, I don't know.
Leonard Floyd was 215 pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, it was less.
Yeah.
It was less than anybody imagined what it was. Yeah.
You were like, that's too slight.
And he's had a wonderful journeyman career
Yes.
where he's been able to go places, get paid an X amount of dollars, but it's never been top dollar.
Yeah.
And he's never been the primary guy wherever he's gone. He's always been the secondary or the third guy wherever he's gone, which is what? An absolute bonus for any pass rusher that's out there. Mm-hmm. Nobody denies the athleticism that the young man had. He could move.
Yes.
He was an athlete. There was no gray area about that.
You're right.
So nobody ever denied that. At the end of the day, he's going to go on to have himself just a wonderful career as a very good player. Right? Play 10 years.
Yeah, you're right.
Be a very good player.
Very good player.
Very good player. That's it. Not a great player.
Right. Never.
Right.
Never a Pro Bowler. Never going to be a great player. No. Good player is going to have a good career. You're right.
Yeah, I even gave you very. I threw a very in front of that. I don't even mind being somewhat complimentary. But
so 245 to you seems a little bit more on the slight end, maybe.
Tony Bennett was a linebacker with us in Green Bay, and Tony Bennett could get after the quarterback. Bryce Pop weighed 200. Both of them weighed about 245, 250. Mm-hmm. They were linebackers, but when it came to second and long, they put their hand in the dirt and they got after it. You know, there's a little bit of a difference there. You can have guys that aren't made to play defensive end, but when it's 3rd and 8, I don't give a rat's ass about playing the run. I'm sending guys out to play
pass, right?
To rush the passer.
Yeah.
So down and distance is a dictator of what's happening nowadays. It's 3rd and 8. You want to run a draw? You want to run a screen? We'll get to it. We're not worried about that being your primary weapon for the day. We'll go get to those things. But on 2nd and 7 plus, 3rd and 7 plus, we want to get after the quarterback. That's what we're looking for.
You want like years back and let's go, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So Pearce was impressive yesterday. Again, 4.47. They said he looked smooth in all the drills, good change of direction. I did see some of the highlights of that on NFL Network. I mean, there's no doubt he's an athlete.
It's also probably worth noting, too, heading into the season, he was seen as a top 3, top 5 pick. You just didn't really have the production to match it. But
he didn't. Yeah.
He's got that pedigree at least.
I think he'll have to answer to some of that if that makes sense in a way. Like
you have to watch the film, see what happened.
Yeah, like what happened. Why? Charlie's right. Why did he have that drop off? Well, and here's the other guy that is flying up the draft boards. Okay, that everybody's talking about. This goes back to the Senior Bowl. It's Texas A&M's Shamar Stewart. Great Senior Bowl. Great day yesterday. Great Senior Bowl week, I should say. During the drills and the one-on-ones and stuff like that, right? Everybody's like, man, look at Shamar Stewart. Okay, yesterday, you ready?
Yes.
Shamar Stewart, 40-inch vert, second best among combine D linemen. 10'11" broad jump, best among D linemen. 10'11" broad jump.
That's pretty good.
4.59 40, fourth fastest among DLs. Charlie, do me a favor real quick. Check Shamar Stewart's weight, what they're listing him at right now, even if you get an official combine weight. He's bigger, a little bit heftier.
He's 291. It looks like.
Is that right? Is he that much?
Yeah, I saw something. I think 291. He weighed in at the Senior Bowl.
Okay.
I think I saw something that he was like 260 or something by the time he got here.
Think about that. He's running sub 4.6 at 275, 280 pounds. I mean,
That's
the kid,
a big man.
10'11" broad jump, right? The kid can move.
The NFL's website for prospects has him listed at 267.
Okay, so he's somewhere in between there. Maybe that's what the official weigh-in was. I mean, he's a big boy. Mm-hmm. He's a bigger, beefier guy. Maybe fits the mold a little bit more of that hand-in-the-dirt edge.
Big fella.
But he's an athlete. I mean, you look at his vert, you look at the broad jump, you look at the speed yesterday. Here's what you have to figure out now, and you always talk about go watching the tape. He had like 5 sacks in college, four sacks in college. Like, why?
Yeah.
Maybe
what's wrong?
Maybe there's a reason.
Maybe it's the way he was utilized.
Maybe.
You don't know.
This is where watching tape matters.
Of course.
And you have to know what you're looking at. Because you do have to wonder a little bit about the production or the lack of production.
Yeah, if you look at the stats, 2022 he played 12 games. He had 1.5 sack
in 12 games. Okay, now that was his freshman year, right?
Freshman year.
Yeah, his first year as a starter.
Second year, 2023, 13 games, 1.5 sack. And last year, 2024, 12 games, 1.5 sack.
So figure that. What is that? 4.5 sacks in his career?
He's not a pass
4.5
rusher.
sacks. He had 65 total tackles for his entire career. 30 are solo.
That I don't mind as much from the DN position, but like, why was this freak athleticism not necessarily translating in sacks? And maybe there's a very good, easy explanation. Maybe an A&M fan listening can tell us. Like Jurko said, go find out why.
Take a look at the film.
And you might see things that answer your questions.
Right.
But that's where you have to go and look at the tape. But, boy, people are salivating over him right now. And he's one of the fastest risers, if not the fastest, of all the defensive players that I keep hearing about ever since the season ended and they hit the Senior Bowl. He's gone from, like, second-round fringe back end of the first round maybe to now potentially a top 10, 12, 15 pick because he's an athletic freak.
You've got to be able to answer the questions, too.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
they've probably already looked at the film.
He did have a lot of pressures. He had 39 pressures last season.
That's good. That's good.
Plus, you got to college a lot of that. What's that zone read stuff? Mm-hmm. Still got a lot of that. Mm-hmm. Quarterbacks getting the ball out of their hands.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, depending upon what kind of defense you do, you had to clear the run before you can go ahead and get to the passer. So they may not have been able to use his athleticism the way it needed to be used.
So, like you're saying, there could be a lot of simple answers.
Could be a reason,
right?
Yeah. Could be a reason. Are we sitting down watching the videotape one day?
I would love to.
You and I?
You want to commit to it?
Well, you're the guy that produces all the magic.
Let's do it. I think, and listen, when it comes to these D linemen, you've always had a good eye for it, obviously, for obvious reasons. I think we need to look at a few of them. These are the names to start to watch. And who's going to be the most impactful, and it is a great position of need. I think regardless of what the Bears do in free agency, it is a great position of need. It will be a great position of need when we get to Green Bay at the end of April.
You know how Jervon Dexter has developed a little bit in his first 2 years? Mm-hmm. Had the injury and then didn't see a whole lot of it. You saw it earlier last year. You didn't see a lot of it the rest of the year. I'd say in his first 7 games, he showed you something, then he got beat up and banged up a little bit, and then we didn't see it the rest of the year.
Yep.
That's the dilemma you have, and a little bit of lag that you have when you do get somebody that's not accompanied to your system. That there's a little bit of a transition, and it happened for him because of the defense that he played in. He wasn't in attack mode down there. He was in react mode.
They were like in kind of two-gap mode down there?
Two-gap mode
right?
down there.
Yeah.
That's why you've had a lag with Jervon Dexter. You saw him pop a little bit in his second year, and then it went away because of an injury. He got banged up. So you're hoping that he comes back in his third year now, hell-bent for election,
Right.
and he becomes the player that you anticipated him to be, because he's not there yet. He's short. So if you're going to get somebody in the first round that's a little bit of a project, I'm a little bit wary, which is probably why his grade was where his grade was.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have to kind of diffuse him and create something as dangerous in a different way. So without seeing the film,
Right.
that's what I concerned myself with,
Right.
which is why his grade was probably where it was.
In just watching 3 minutes of highlight cut-ups, he is fast as hell. He gets back there, but there are a few
He runs by.
Well, it's he doesn't complete it, right? Like he gets there and then the quarterback slips out, or he hits the running back, but then the quarterback decided not to pitch the running back, and he levels the running back in the backfield, but then the quarterback continues on.
And that may have been
That's
his
his own-
responsibility for the day.
Yeah, for sure. But like
your
if you
stuff.
start watching these highlights, like he is fast as hell. He gets back there. But like I've watched 3 minutes of this highlight cut up, and 3 separate times he got to the quarterback and the quarterback escaped.
See?
So that goes to the pressures, but also
Finisher.
the lack of
You gotta-
sacks.
and you
not a
gotta finish,
finisher.
Yeah. I mean, he is a physical freak. The arm, the wingspan's crazy good, the vertical, the broad jump, the speed, the size, like he's got it all. And then it's real easy to start thinking about, oh man, A&M pass rushers, Von Miller, Myles Garrett, here we go, Shamar Stewart. Maybe he's the next one. But you got to look at you got to do a pretty good tape breakdown with somebody who really knows what they're looking at. That's why we need Jurko to sit down and look at it and say, okay, there's something here. It's not just he's great in his bicycle shorts at in his tights at the combine.
I think Blake gave us a great breakdown here in the 3 minutes that he watched.
Yeah, it's gonna.
He's a non-finisher. He doesn't finish.
It's gonna require.
I'm just
a
saying,
good
like,
dive.
if we're looking at the stats and we're asking the questions, and you start to watch just a couple of minutes, it seems like that has something to do with it.
Yeah, of why the production necessarily wasn't there.
But like you can tell immediately he is fast.
you could see the athlete. Is what you're saying.
And there's a lot of no hand on the ground, and he is just
exploding. Boy, he's a big guy for
overpowering.
no hand in the ground. I love
yeah.
it. Combine stuff. This is where it's easy to get all hyped up and wrapped up into it, and it's definitely part of it. And it's part of the fun for us as just commentators and observers and fans. But it requires a much more deep dive from these teams as they try to figure out what they're going to do come the end of April. 312-332-3776. Lots of different stuff to kind of kick around today, including a report in the Sun-Times about Sinclair and Marquee. And will it or won't it be available on Comcast once the regular season rolls around for the Cubs at the end of next month? It's going to be here before we know it. Jeff Agres wrote about that. There's a new report from the Tribune about certain steps the Bears might be taking as they inch towards Arlington Heights. We'll bring you up to